Let's pick up this thing of the objections or the supposed theories that replace the explanation that Jesus really did rise from the dead. We got 5 facts that are minimal facts that we've talked about that all scholars across the spectrum basically believe, and we're trying to say, we think then if you've got those 5 facts, this is the best explanation that Jesus rose from the dead. What are those 5 facts again, first of all?
That Jesus was executed. The belief of the disciples that he appeared to them alive after he was crucified, in other words, that he had been resurrected. The conversion of Saul, who was a persecutor of Christians, became the Apostle Paul. The conversion of another skeptic, James, his half-brother, who didn't follow him during his lifetime and yet died as a leader of the local church because he encountered Jesus at the resurrection. And the empty tomb, which 75% of critical scholars concede is an historic reality.
All right, this attack by modern scholarship comes on the empty tomb, and the reason it was empty, it wasn't because Jesus rose from the dead. But if given a naturalistic explanation of how things work in the universe, what they're saying is there's got to be something else, and what they've gravitated toward was Jesus' body was moved by somebody else, either the family members or somebody else. Right. Talk a little bit about that.
I mean, this is so, I'm sorry, it's crazy to me, because this is almost like saying, oh yeah, by the way, excuse me, Christianity's been like a little mistake over 2,000 years. It's just a mistake. It's just an error. Let's think about this for just a minute. First of all, the person who really is propagating this theory, James Tabor, who's a well-respected professor, atheist, who studies this kind of thing, he is, by his own admission, a metaphysical naturalist, which means he rules out the possibility of the supernatural at the beginning. And so, since that's impossible, and the resurrection, in his view, philosophically is impossible, there cannot be a resurrection, therefore any explanation, it will suffice. I don't care how crazy it is. And so his explanation is, yeah, they buried the body, but then the family, probably, or somebody else, came and moved the body. And that's why the tomb is empty. Well, hello, that's the explanation? I mean, how many problems do you want me to mention to this? Number one, you'd think, if the family moved the body, and we start having disciples declaring that he's returned from the dead and dying for that belief, they would have said, excuse me, it's all a mistake. The body, we moved, it's over here. No, but there's no evidence. That's ridiculous. And number two, the disciples and the followers of Jesus were not really convinced that Jesus rose from the dead because of the empty tomb, with the possible exception of John. What convinced them? Their personal encounters with the resurrected Jesus, which the moving of the body explanation doesn't even address. John, here's the big problem. There are certain historians and scientists who are metaphysical naturalists, who rule out the possibility of the supernatural at the outset, and now say, bring on the evidence. Well, is that being open-minded? Isn't it more open-minded to say, I'm going to be humble about the question of whether or not the supernatural exists? I'm not saying it does. I'm not saying it exists. I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm just saying I'm open to wherever the evidence takes me. Seems to me that is being open-minded. Seems to me that is responding to the data historically. And if it takes you to a conclusion that perhaps the best explanation for all of these facts is the resurrection, then doggone it, I think it's being intellectually dishonest not to consider that. Now, I'll give you an example. Anthony Flew, world's most famous philosophical atheist. And I had a chance, as I know you have, to sit down with him and to talk to him now that he has, in a monumental decision, changed his mind, abandoned atheism, and now believes in a supernatural creator of the universe. And he said, I'll never forget this, he said, Lee, I had to go where the evidence took me. To me, that is an honest individual. And yes, it took him to an uncomfortable position. I've got to abandon a lifetime of 40 books on atheism, and I've got to abandon that and say, you know what, I was wrong. I do believe in a supernatural creator. Now, he's not a Christian yet, but I think he's in process, by God's grace. But he's come to that decision because he was willing to follow the evidence wherever it pointed.